All right, creative. Can you believe it? It's our 1 year anniversary, and we're doing this live for the first time ever. So we'll see how it goes. As you may imagine, this is a little bit different than our usual audio podcast. So for those of you watching it on Twitch, welcome. Appreciate you coming and joining us. And today we have something very special for you guys, and that is that we have guests. And to say that we have been fans of these guys would be an understatement. You probably have heard me talk about all of their tools in one way or another. We've been using the roster organizer for a long time in its initial incarnation and the current Groot version, but they just took it to the next level with the Mantis tool that I know all of the community's been talking about. So without further ado, we have Zarathos and Seg, who are the creators of Mantis and then Mactis, the port for Apple. So, welcome, guys. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Thank you. Pretty good.
Well, we're glad to have you. Appreciate you agreeing to join us tonight. And what we want to do is just kind of have a conversation about uh, your tools and how you got started. But before that, how about we do a little bit of an introduction? So, Zara, why don't you go first and you tell us a little bit of how long you've been playing the game, what's your collection power, and see, people like to know if you're a spender or free to play or maybe a kraken. So, tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So I've been playing for 2 years and a half, something like that. I think it was in the summer. My TCP around 10.5 lately. It's moving fast recently. I'm starting to spend my 200 gold orbs, so it's going a bit faster.
200.
And game player, is there any end game for that kind of game? I don't know. I don't think so. Unfortunately, maybe. FTP, Dolphin Whale. I'm trying not to think about it, but I'm probably a good dolphin. But I
Okay.
never watch my bank accounts because it feels like dangerous.
And
Excellent.
Very nice.
I
Uh,
myself am
Yep.
about 8.4 million. Uh, my STP is a bit over 700k. Uh, and I'm in the same boat as Zara. I'm just gearing up for DD4. So I mean, I'd say getting close to what Scopely would say is the end game. And I would say I'm a dolphin. I'll occasionally buy offers if I feel like there's real good motivation.
yeah. Yeah, that's. I don't know what I am. I'm somewhere in between. They're accusing you of being a kraken.
Hard to
It
tell.
looks like in the chat somebody he's a kraken. um, yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I probably overspent at first, then scaled it back, but every now and then I'll pick up offers here and there. One quick question: is this the first of this type of game that you guys have played, or this kind of game you've tried like some of the existing or previous iterations?
You go first, like,
This is the first type of actually mobile game in general I've played. My old roommate just one day said like, "Hey Seg, download this game. We need someone else in our alliance." And didn't really know what was going on, but eventually kind of just realized it became like a compulsive habit to keep playing it.
Yep. But you, Zara, you played this kind of game before?
not really. Back in the days, I used to play a MMO, but on PC that was called Dofus, but I don't think it's well known in the US and most part of the world. Uh, anyway, that was a like that kind of game where you stick to it for some time and you realize that time pass and it's like weird situation where you don't know the time doesn't exist anymore, and I feel like that a bit because as I said, like 2 years and a half is quite a lot when you think about it. And yeah, on mobile I think it's the first real game that I get attached to. The thing is, so I've started to play, I think it was in
Oh, we might have lost him.
I think he froze for a sec. All right,
Oh, it's skipping around.
he's trying to get back.
There we go. I think we got him back.
good.
We're back. That's what happens when you're live, you know? It's all right.
So yeah, so I showed it to my girlfriend. She's a Deadpool fan and a Marvel fan, and yeah, we just built our alliance, and it's been quite a long time. She's leading one alliance, I'm leading another one. So I think we mutually make us keep playing again and again.
Yep. That's cool though that you have that in common. I can't say the same. This is my thing. Okay, so
It's rarely the case, I think.
yeah. So Seg, you mentioned a little bit that you were working on your DD4.
Yeah.
What does that look like for you right now? What are you working on to get there?
I mean, I'm kind of ashamed to say, honestly, it's not very well planned out. I have Thanos at 15, I have Doc Ock at 15, and I have Sinister. And right now I'm working on Emma Frost, and I know people say go for like Proxima, but I'm actually going for Corvus because I have him at 7 red, and just want a really big, scary Corvus. So that's about as far as I've gotten into it. I'm like just one piece of gear off Corvus from being able to start it, so we'll see how fast I get wrecked. I mean, that's yeah. I'm not going into it with high expectations, other than like, let's have fun.
Well, you're gonna bring.
Well, at least,
No, you go ahead.
sorry. Yeah, at least Dark Dimension 4 is not as frustrating than the third
Oh, yeah.
one. I mean, the third one was just a nightmare when you started the first time. Come on.
Well, I started
And,
DB3 without Phoenix, so that was just miserable.
Mm,
Yeah, right?
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, that's that's
Yeah.
brave. That is brave for sure.
I just finished the sixth node like last night. It was nice. You duplicate symbiote Spider-Man. Like I had 4 or 5 Spider-Man. They were just basically stunting everyone in a loop. The longest delay was just the animation. You know, there's like they are all hitting X times, but they are hitting 0 because basically everyone in front of you is stunned. It's pretty satisfying.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's a similar list to you, Fred. That you had Thanos, you had Doc Ock, you Emma. Who else did we do? Proxima, and who else did you round out yours with?
Proxima, Midnight, and Symbiote Spider-Man. So
Yeah.
I took a different approach than what, some people think about it sequentially, right? Like, okay, I'm going to do global, and I'm going to do cosmic, then I'm going to do city. But I just figured we're going to be waiting for these materials for so long that I'm just going to do 5 that I can get in with. And it doesn't matter if I finish global if I'm going to sit at cosmic. So I just took characters that I found, would impact the game right now. Like arena, war, all this stuff. Maybe over time it'll be wrong, but I'm sticking to my approach for now. And, I'm sitting waiting in global to get 3 more characters so I can go. Because I only have Emma for global.
I think the most important in the end is to, just go with characters you want to play outside of Dark Dimension, because Dark Dimension is just you play it once, you play it twice to unlock some stuff, and after that, you may play it up to 15 times if you're a masochist and you want the good border.
Yeah,
But in the end, after you're done, it's over.
yeah, yeah. You're right. So, it felt like there were also required tunes for DD3 when it first came out, like Phoenix. Some of these that you Minerva, maybe not. That was DD2, but like you have to have, and I don't see anything similar here. So,
Oh yeah, definitely.
we'll see if it
Definitely
pays
right.
off in the end. But creative. Well, the other thing also I'm working on is the Astonishing X-Men. I mean, they appear to be the real deal, as opposed to Skilletary, which was a total bust for me. So disappointing. But the Astonishing X-Men seem to be actually the opposite. So I've been putting. All I farm is mutant cytoplasms until I can't anymore. Every day, every node that's available to try to get those guys up and running.
They are awesome. Mine are 500k,
Ooh.
and I mean
Oh
you.
wow.
Oh, I love them. I mean, you play every single node of Ultimate 7 in auto mode, like
Wow.
every single. It's quite satisfying. I never play them in attack because in defense they are giving me so many defense wins that
Wow.
good here. But eventually I will do. They are really nice. I love them.
Awesome. Yeah, a lot of people don't know how to play them. So new teams, particularly if you've leveled them high, put them on defense, and you almost always get wins because people don't know what to do. So that's great. But 500k, wow, that's impressive. We're about halfway there.
Did
They do
you?
good even before that.
Yeah. Did your Jubilee? Did you get her at 7 or?
I don't know. I've been lucky. I have like 5 restore on 3 of them, so that was really nice. I still think I would get one more star on Iceman and Bishop next to the Blitz, so they will keep improving a bit. But they're already gear 14, so
Oof.
there's not much you can do
Wow.
beside
Wow.
that. Yeah, I went a bit crazy on them. I'm the kind to hoard a lot. I mean, I try to have every single gear item to 500. So yeah,
Wow.
makes it easy to boost someone out of nothing.
Wow. And I thought I had
Yep.
hoarding issues, but I guess I'm okay because I'm hurting for those purple mats. Ooh. Man.
I think the most frustrating thing about the entire Jubilee release is I didn't even get one red star on her.
Ooh.
And I had red star worms saved up and everything.
Mm.
Not a single
Man.
red star, man. It's like even if I had unlocked her, I was a couple shards of ghost short, but like I wouldn't even be able to use the team,
Man, that's rough. Whew.
right?
Yeah, I had
Gracious.
3 for a bit, and then on the last, I opened a few more. I got 4, and I was like, all right, I'll just stop because I didn't have much left. But I've had 5 and several of the other legendaries, so this was a little bit of a miss. But I'll keep pumping resources into them. You're doing the same, right, Creative? I mean, you're taking them high.
Yeah. I mean, we're going well above the normal spin just because we still had gold after the Emma event. My biggest problem has always been training mats, so I'm just. I think they're all my parking lot, which is like around 60, 65, tier 12. So I'm gonna pause probably just to get a couple characters to T15. I could technically start today, but I'm gonna go a little bit slower, just to spread out the gold spin. But wow, I'm quite a bit jealous of that 500k. That's awesome.
Yep. So, guys, anything else maybe that you want to share from like a background perspective before we start diving into what we came here to do? Talk about some tools.
I mean, I would just say Zarathos and we put a lot of effort and love into it, so the community can, always have their tools for free. And so like just to make sure that we're giving them the best products we can. So it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah. So thinking about that, how, I guess, Zara, how did you start developing the roster organizer? Or what was first? I don't even remember when I discovered it. It was out there. The roster organizer was kind of my first lead in
Okay,
into it.
so actually, the first one was not mine. So in the very beginning, I don't even know the guy. It was someone called Klikachu, and he made I think it was called the personal organizer, which was the ancestor of Groot. So the guy made this. At one point, he left the game, and the demon took over. So he added some feature, and around that time, I've started to play, and I created my alliance. And with my captains, we were pretty much like-minded to, work on making things efficient. And who says efficient means data. So I saw that Demon was sharing his Google Sheet, and I thought it was pretty nice, but it was lacking something that was critical to me. It was like the audience side of the game. So it was perfect, on an individual standpoint. You could see your roster. Can't remember exactly. I think there was already a blitz section. I don't know exactly what else. Maybe some legendary path. Not completely sure, but anyway. So there was this base that was pretty nice, and I made my own copy, which is the base. Like the most interesting thing with Google Sheets is you can just copy what the initial creator made, modify it as you like. You have full control over it. So that's what I like with this solution. So I took it. I've created like my alliance manager that was taking a lot of roster organizer, which were my own modified version, and so I could just one Google Sheet see the data from all the members of my alliance. And I had discussions with Demon back then, and he said, "Yeah, so what you did, and from all the guys that modified, like customized my Google Sheet, you're the one that seems to know what he's doing." So asked me if I wanted to take it over, and I said, "Yeah, fine, love it." And so that's pretty much how it began.
Okay. So
And,
you're trying to analyze data, and there's no real way to do it. So you have a personal organizer, but that's still individual. So you said, okay, we need something to bring all of the members of the alliance together, so that way we can kind of deploy for, I'm assuming, raids, war, those things that require coordination, right, in the game.
well, back then there was no war. I mean,
Oh,
war arrived like a lot later. I pretty much did it like in the following months that I started. So war was not there yet. So it was, and I'm pretty sure we were doing. Initially, we were probably playing Ultimate 5 because Ultimate 6 was very difficult back then because you didn't have your awesome defenders with 100k Seg. So yeah, pretty much. It was just to analyze, for example, who was missing their like the raid keys, for example. So you needed a formula for that because that's not something that the game gives you. And so that planning the race, finding the best position for everyone, like you make sure that those who have who contribute the most are on the side lanes and etc. You try to find the best, like the most optimal way to define a plan.
Yeah.
That pretty much, that's more easy to do in a Google sheet or in an Excel sheet.
Yeah. One of the things, just to share, that we did when we were officers of an alliance wasn't as sophisticated or real time, but we would take a snapshot at the end of the month of your collection power, your stronger steam, your arena rank. We tracked your keys and your world warrior ranking, and we came up with a formula that was an alliance MVP. Like if you ranked the top, and we've talked about this in the show, but just sharing here that we would give an award at the end of the month of who was doing well, and then we would post the 24 so you could pull like the shameful people at the bottom that are not contributing or not progressing in their roster. So it was, we made up a formula that took into account those elements, and I don't know that it was the perfect formula, but it did give people incentive because they wanted to be better in the ranking or win that MVP award. So it was a thing that we did, but it was a snapshot at the end of the month that we captured. And I can tell you, without getting too far ahead, that what you did with the war reading is making that a lot easier because I can capture it from that screen from Mantis. But one more thing that I wanted to ask you was, there is one called Drax. What is that? Is that something,
Drax.
Is that something I never used it, but I know you have it out there.
He's a big green alien who taunts on spawn. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Enough said.
He has managed.
No code, nothing. Just taunting.
He has managed the way to stand still, so he's invisible. Is that to the human eye?
Exactly.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So people who know me realize that I'm quite a big fan of the Guardian of the Galaxy. So I don't know if you're on Zarathos, you're probably aware of that. And so Drax is my data mining bot. So I've been doing some data mines for quite some time, and Taiji helped me with that at the very, very, like the very first time. He just gave me the exact method how to data mine, and it was quite easy actually. And because I'm lazy, I said, okay, I don't want to do it manually every time. It was very painful. I mean, so I downloaded all the files, and I run a tool to compare, and I was copying every different line one by one. And when there was an update, it was just a nightmare because there's dozens of lines to copy. And I mean, no, it's not. It doesn't really make sense to do it by hand because it's always the same. So I had the idea for quite some time to do it automatically, and because I made something to do it automatically, I was able to do it in different languages. So basically, what Drax does is just you install it on your Discord server, and you don't have anything to do. Once it's set up, you don't have anything to do. Automatically, when I run my tools to data mine, it will automatically post on every server where Drax is installed. It will display all the data mines in the language that you want. So that's pretty much it. Still want to do other stuff, like having it. Like right now, I need to run the tool to publish the data mines, but what I want to do is to make it fully automated. It's like like my PC gets all the new files because my phone is linked to my PC. Anyway.
Yep. So when we see that long list of stuff on the servers, that's where it's coming from, pretty much?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and right now I don't put too much control. Sometimes there are things you might think, oh yeah, but why does it publish those lines? They are all the same.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's fully automated. I don't control it, so it will just detect a change. It will publish it. Sometimes it's a minor change. It can be just if they fix a typo, for example, it will publish the line no matter what, because Drax don't know that it's just a minor change.
Cool.
Brax is not super clever, to be honest.
Yeah, cool stuff. Now, so you had Alliance organizer and a roster organizer, and then I know you got into actually reading the game, right? Starting to do that. So can you talk to us about how that came about and your initial versions, and then take us all the way through to Mantis now?
The way it works is usually when there's a new tool, a new something like that, it's been in my head for quite some times, and when something is in my head, it just bugs me night and day until it comes out. So usually, it's really like exhausting. It's just keeping thinking about it, and the code kind of comes into my mind little by little to one point that I need to like put it out. So Mantis was like that. I've been thinking about it for probably a month, and at one point I said, "Okay, and let's do it because I want to sleep well." And I, I mean, you're laughing, but it's not fun. It's yeah, and yeah. Thing is, we have quite a good community in in Zarathos, and the people are constantly giving ideas, and so it's feeding the beast, I would say. And there's many things that can be done about this game in terms of data. So the idea is just, okay, let's have something that currently Scopely doesn't give us. So what we do with Seg is just trying to find, okay, what is the area that the user would like to see? What are the data that Scopely doesn't give us? And we know that the players would like to play with it. So we initially I started with the roster extractor, which was just like, as its name says, extracting the roster, just like a small command line tool. And after that, Mantis was just the natural, like next step. And yes, Seg, like I think it was a couple months ago, he said, "Hey man, see what you're doing. It's pretty nice, and I was wondering, would you mind sharing with me?" So it was the first time that I heard about him, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't know this guy. I don't know what he will do with that, because technically, you can do pretty much anything. You can do like a blitz bot with the code. It's pretty easy. You want to do it? It's simple. You have the base. It's not a problem." So I initially didn't want to share it with anyone because I didn't trust especially anyone.
I mean, that's
And I didn't want.
I was just so
Sorry.
hitting you up in your DMs.
And so, yeah, initially I thought, okay, I would just like do that on my own. And at one point, it was probably the good time, and Seg came back to me and it was talking about a Mac version, and like, the more it went and the more people wanted a Mac version. So it was like, okay, this guy, I've been here for some time. I've been talking with him. It somehow inspired confidence. So fuck it, let's do it. I think people will be happy, and it's gonna be fun. And yes, for quite some time, then I've been surprised because it's been. Well, I will let him talk about his side of the story, but it's been working on the migration for maybe a month, maybe even less. And it's been
over.
Or I don't know. I mean, with the confinement, I lose time. Time doesn't exist.
To be fair, like 3 weeks of it was me trying to figure out how to take a screenshot. So
you've been pretty efficient and it's been fast, and I didn't expect to have a Mac version, if at all, like just as fast as you did it. It was pretty nice, and eventually we'll work together on the PC version. I just know it. I won't ever touch the Mac version. Know it. You will deal with it to the end
Oh,
of
as
time.
soon as I'm caught up, I'm not touching it again either.
So, I think you said a keyword there that got my interest. You said a screenshot. So, is that part of the inner workings of this? That is taking pictures all the time? Like, can you describe a little bit, at least that capture process?
Yeah, so
Take it, wanna
the
go?
way, yeah, I got it. So the way that Mantis and as I call it, Mactus, uh, despite Zara's disdain for that name, so how Mantis works is essentially we're always taking screenshots, like very precise screenshots of whatever the emulator is displaying. Essentially, we're just grabbing that one frame, and from there we can look at what's on the frame, and without like getting too far into it. And there's like many different ways to do this. For example, like I know at Hazelwood of the Toolbot does it a very different way than we do it, but we look at each pixel to pixel, uh, and just look at what color is where, so we can try and like recognize from it. And then we overlay the Ultimus font, which is the in-game font, and we compare it to see what the best fit is, like per letter or digit, and that's how we get your data.
I'm just amazed at how fast it does that. So, I mean, like, for example, the war screen, that's tons of different names, tons of different values, and you scroll through and it does it. I mean, so you're like pixel by pixel comparing to a massive library, particularly when you talk about like the inventory. That just amazes me that it does it that fast.
It's the secret of pointers, isn't it?
I was gonna say that's all Zara doing it that fast.
Gotcha.
Yeah, if you want to see fast, do not look at the Mac War screen that's about to come out in a couple of weeks.
So,
I did it my way, and it's a little scary.
okay. Now, I'm going to back up for a second. I guess in the chat, they were asking about Mantis, and maybe we didn't describe it, but it's basically if you're running the game with one of the emulators, and there's several out there. I think you support most, if not all of them. BlueStacks, LD Player, Memu, you name it. You can run the game on your PC, and then this is a tool that runs side by side, and what they're describing is how it captures data from your game sort of automatically. Like, you really don't have to do anything, just run the tool and it does it for you. And that was what the roster organizer used to do as well, but it was command prompt. This is more like a full-blown application. Now, there's another thing that it does that you guys haven't talked about, and that's that overlay, which I have described. I used to play Hearthstone, and there's some people that did similar overlays for Hearthstone that would tell you how many cards have been played, how much damage, what cards are still left. So they were deck trackers to help you play a little bit better and keep track of things. So whoever's familiar with that kind of tool, that's what you guys did, but for this. And specifically, you did it for right now ISO recommendations and T4 recommendations. Yeah. And you're actually pulling this data from one of, if not the most popular site, msf.gg. So do you want to talk a little bit about the overlay and then that data connection and how you work with msf.gg?
Sure. Well, first thing, Mantis stands for Mantis adds new tools in Strikeforce. Yeah, that was very creative. I'm proud of that one. So the idea is, okay, there's some stuff that it does currently, and the first one was the roster extraction. But the plan, like the idea behind it is, it can pretty much add anything. anything you can think about, technically we could eventually add it. And so the roster extractor was the first thing. And then we had a discussion with Taiji of MSF.gg, and we're talking about what could possibly be done, because he's the same kind of guy as we are, very data driven, very community driven, like trying to give as many free tools to the players using like professional skills. And so we have some connections, and there's some data that they have on their side, is they can gather many information about the players roster, because like a lot of players are using MSF.gg to organize a roster. So they gather a lot of data, and they can find pretty easily, because it's just a database, so it's quite easy to find statistics about it, which can't be done with Groot, because Groot, once you make your copy, that's it. I don't have access to any Groot.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel that I will like somehow explore your data, I just can't. Once you make your copy, it's yours. But the advantage of MSF.gg is that it's everything is on their database, so they can do statistics. And one thing that is pretty cool that you can already have with MSF.gg's bot is okay, I have this character, I want to know usually the players who have made their data on MSF.gg, what are they doing with this character? So in terms of abilities, in terms of ISO 8, you can just, like the bot can just check, okay, in average, how many people have this ability, this ability, this ability. And the thing is, with just a little modification, Taiji gave us the access to this information. So we can just ask, okay, MSFGG, here I'm checking, for example, Luke Cage, show me how many players got these abilities like at the max tier, how many chose this ISO 8 class. And what we do is just, okay, we get this information and we display them on a transparent window in front of the emulator. So when you move the emulator, it will always follow the screen. So we'll say, like, it feels as if you're just adding some more tools directly on the screen of the emulator.
Yeah.
That's actually a really interesting place where the Mac and the PC versions really have to differ, like in how we implement that, because just the way everything is structured, like our backends are very much the same, but like when you kind of get towards working on like the overlay and stuff and how it works, like, if I were to look at Zarathos' code, or if he was to look at mine, we really wouldn't have an idea of what the other person was doing. So I think like that's a really cool thing about both programs, is how like they do the same thing but like so differently.
Yeah.
Or is that just
It's like-
inherent in the operating system that you have to call things differently, or how would you describe why it's so different?
Well, Zarathos knows, and many of my friends know, I have a very staunch opinion towards Apple products, and I know he feels the same way. So I don't want to get too much into that, but there's a lot more things in Apple and are very sandboxed, like to each program, which makes them or makes them like really secure. But you run into an issue of, all right, how do I make this program interact with another program, which is like what Mantis is all about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because in the end, what we're trying to do is kind of unnatural things for it's not if we have the directly the source code. Let's say we have the source code of Marvel Strike Force. It would be completely different. We wouldn't do like the MSF devs wouldn't do things absolutely anything close to what we do. We have to be creative to make it possible because naturally it's not supposed to go that way. And actually with the Google Sheets, it's pretty much the same. It's trying to find creative way to make things that are not supposed to be possible. And so basically we're kind of always trying to cheat the system, to do things, to use things that were not supposed to be meant, that are not meant to do that, and trick them into making it possible.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Go ahead, Fred.
No, I was gonna say that to the point about the overlay. If you haven't seen this, I mean, you should, because if you didn't know this was running, you think it's part of the game. Like even the upload button, they made the art look exactly like the stats button. It looks like it's part of the game, and it's very elegantly displayed where it belongs. But think about what we're saying. First, this tool is reading the character in your screen in real time. Second, it's going out to a server over there with MSF.gg and in real time bringing you back data from what the community of players are doing. And it takes like what, a second? I mean, it's not even a second. Like you've seen this creative. It's crazy. Like you just scroll and boom, there's all the information. So quite powerful. Because normally you would have to, okay, let me query or go to the website, find Luke Cage, click on Luke Cage. Okay, let's see what people are doing with T4s. Let's see what people are doing with ISOs. This gives it to you right there without you just playing the game, right? You're just managing your roster. So it's pretty impressive that you've been able to achieve that. I mean, it saves like 10 steps and gives it to you right there.
So for the icon, I have to give credit to Taije. Asked him, oh yeah, you think that you could do something to the button to upload to myself.gg, and he did it like in 5 minutes. He's got something that I really don't. It's artistic talent.
Taije is the developer owner of MSF.gg, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. We work well all together, and I think it's the developers community, like people who are doing tools around MSF are not that many. Besides us two, there's like there used to be the guy who did the MSF Pal. There's a Toolbot. There's MSF.gg.
Mm-hmm.
There's Ultron, the bot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm missing quite a lot of people, but there's maybe like 10 of us.
Yep.
That I know of, actually. So yeah, it's a small community, and people are usually very open to discuss and share what they're working on, what they think, their ideas. That's nice.
Well, yeah, I'd say that. Go ahead, Fred.
No, I was gonna say. Go ahead. I think you're gonna say something more related to this.
Well, I was just gonna say I think that the partnership that you all have with MSGG is quite powerful. That the way that you all have been able to make it accessible to PC players, plus the web browser, plus bringing all of that community data together. I'm floored by how quickly it's all come together as well. It feels like just yesterday Mantis came out, and then I think Fred started talking about, hey, what about the inventory? You can go look at the war screen or the war orbs, and next thing you know, you guys had it. So I'm floored at how quickly you guys have been able to crank this out. I mean, it feels like it was just yesterday. Maybe that was the whole COVID time lapse thing you were talking about earlier. But how long is this taking you guys? This is clearly your labor of love. not your full time gig. I mean, it does feel like you're doing this very, very fast. Do you want to talk a little about this level of effort?
We don't sleep. That's a secret.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
So,
I know. Oh, as like I know Zarathos puts in even more time than I do, but like for the past like since day one of working on of Mantis, like every day after work, I go and get my little MacBook and sit here until like real late at night working on it, just because like I have so much fun developing it, and I love seeing how happy it makes everyone who's using it, like PC and Mac version. Like just all the good feedback and excitement is like it's just so much motivation, you know.
I think it's our fuel in a sense, when you show something and people are like, wow, that's awesome, I love it, and it's really nice. And I posted something on Reddit, and people were again super happy, both for the PC and the Mac version. I mean, even in my audience, people have been asking for Mac version for so long. I mean, I was super excited to have a Seg working on it, so I didn't have to do anything and make people happy. I mean, that was a dream.
It's very interesting how that sometimes comes together, but it seems like I tested it because I have a MacBook, and that's how I started talking to Seg directly. I was like, hey, I'm trying this Mac thing, and then we started talking that way. So the community is really really friendly, but I was happy to give it a shot. Now, one of the things that I nagged and nagged was missing was the inventory, because Creative and I talk all the time about what characters do we bring up and try to be efficient with the materials, and it's a nightmare to try to type all that in. I would sit there for, I mean, it would take 5 or 10 minutes of aggravation to enter it all, but it was still annoying. So I kept saying, when is the inventory? I mean, it's clear that he can read the screen, so make it happen. And just kind of blinked, and all of a sudden, not only you have the war, you have the inventory, and it's also loaded into MSFGG. How did that feature? I mean, they didn't even have that. Was that something you came up with, and then, or was it simultaneous? Like, how did that work?
So yeah, for the inventory, it's kind of funny. It's a good how you say it, like this, coincidence. So there is an inventory in groups, and it's powerful to feel it. I mean, with all the gear that you can have in it, it's really a lot. So this has been an idea for quite some time, and I knew that eventually it would be in Mantis. And at one point, because one thing is transferring data from Mantis to Groot directly is a bit more annoying because of Google. There's probably a way to do it, but I haven't checked much into it, so I don't know how feasible it is. But it's super easy to transfer data from Mantis to MSFGG, and from MSFGG to Groot. And honestly, my roster, I like never go a different way personally. I always go from Mantis to MSFGG to Groot. And so I was thinking that, okay, now I have to find a solution. And I came to Taiji again and say, yeah, I would like to do the inventory, and what do you feel about having that feature in MSFGG? You say, you know what, I actually already have an inventory. So even if it wasn't used, it's been here for quite some time. And it just had it because eventually one day I guess we will have an API that will be able to get all things. No, I mean, it will happen one day. unless MSF is over before. But I mean, who knows? Anyway, so he said, the feature is here. I just have to give you some entry points, and that's it. And I mean, the next day it was done on his side. It was over. Everything was there. We made some tests. It was working. That's it. It's been very, very smooth. And again, Taiji is always super keen to do new stuff, to work with us. It's a real pleasure.
He's very fun to work with. Just super friendly, super intelligent, like always on top of it. He's really fantastic.
Yeah, no, that I saw that that you released it, and I started using it with Groot, and it wasn't like another day that I saw, hey, MSFGG, now you have inventory support. I was like, there it is. I can see what I already loaded. I do the same thing now where I go to MSFGG and then back down to Groot to do my roster analysis and all that good stuff. So,
well, see, the nice thing about going through MSFGG though is that way if something's wrong, you can blame, like, you point a finger at Taiji, you don't point it at us, so it's not our issue.
Yeah.
Who knows if Mantis sent it wrong or if MSFGG just saved it wrong. I don't know. It's probably Taiji.
What? That's right. So one question people may have about this is, is this kosher? I mean, do you guys talk to Scopel next? Do they have an opinion on this kind of stuff, or are you doing their work for them? Like, what's going on? People may want to know about that.
Okay, so I've been thinking about it, and so to be direct, Scopely doesn't acknowledge our existence, basically, and it makes sense because, let's be clear, Mantis is sometimes borderline with the terms of service.
Sure.
We do stuff that technically might infringe the terms of service, but we don't do it in a way that harms the game in any way. It's I would say we're kind of white hats. And
we are never doing anything that you cannot physically do with your fingers tapping on your screen. We will never do anything like where we have to reach into the code or anything like that.
And so I've been thinking about it, and basically they have two options. The first is to acknowledge that we exist, and if they do that, there's two options. Either they say, no, this is illegal, don't do it, and that's over. And the committee will be pissed, at least everyone on Zarathos. And the other option in this case is they accept it and they open the Pandora's box. So if someone starts to do things that are more borderline and they say, no, you can't do it, they will say, hey, but why did they do it and you didn't say anything? You said it was okay. So, that's kind of a dead end where they can't really, they have a little space. And the other option is just to deny our existence and totally ignore us and say, and so that if one day they decide that it's not okay, they can say, okay, no, you can't do that, and it's over. As long as in the past they didn't acknowledge it, they can't be, nobody can point fingers at us saying, oh yeah, you used to accept that because it was good for you or whatever, and now you don't allow that anymore. It will be much easier for them to do any move if they don't acknowledge the existence of these tools. I tried in the past to talk to them, but no. If you hear me, Scopely, I still love you.
They call that plausible deniability.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Well, that's sad.
No.
I know we've hit up. And we really don't talk about this, but we hit up Cerebro every once in a while. He doesn't really respond to us, and that's fine. We're not jaded, but we try and say, why aren't you talking about what the Toolbot was doing, or what the Zarathos or Mantis, and it's no radio silence. So that makes sense. I'm glad you kind of explained that for us. But it is a bit sad.
That's my point of view.
Yeah.
Just to be clear,
Sure,
that's
sure.
the way I see it, and that's the way I see logic in it. Now, is completely logic? I don't know.
Well,
So,
no, but that makes sense.
Just
Yeah,
kidding.
that makes sense.
yeah.
I think like another thing that's super important about it is nothing in Mantis or in Toolbot or in any of our like community-based tools, like none of those do anything to help you get a competitive advantage that isn't openly and freely available to your opponent. It's like it's like saying you have an unfair advantage because your car is faster, and that's why I was late to work. Like, it's everyone has the ability to use these tools.
Yeah, it's ancillary data.
yeah.
It's not pressing buttons or playing the game for you. It's just giving you powerful information that you can leverage how you want to leverage it. Yeah.
That's a spirit again. I know we share with Tai J is that we want everything to be free. We both have actually a Patreon page where people can contribute, but it doesn't give anything more. There's no benefit from it besides having the beta version earlier, having like more communication directly with us, but doesn't give you anything more. The tools are completely free, will remain free, and there's no incentive to be a patron, like a clear incentive in terms of functionalities. Just to be clear.
Fair. Well, so you mentioned. Go ahead, Fred.
Well, I wanted to ask one thing about, if you can, for our listeners, maybe talk about some new features or something you're excited about that you're working on with Mantis that may come next. Maybe give a sneak peek if you're comfortable with that.
As Thanos would say, everything.
I mean, I have all kinds of ideas. Like, I was thinking about the war screen. I'm like, all right, now you have the TCPs on Mantis. You have an overlay. Instead of trying to triangulate which room we're going to attack based on TCP, I mean, that's probably something on your list, I'm sure. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but...
So, after that, I'll let Seg talk about a bit more about his ideas, because in the end, we're just, throwing ideas as they come. But one thing about, the TCP and the war overlay, there's one limitation with our system is that when you're on the helicarrier, you can move the screen, and the problem that we have is that there's always a delay. We take a screenshot, we analyze, and then we send some data, some thing that we draw on the screen. The problem is when you have like a moving overlay, we can't be synchronized, like perfectly synchronized. There's always gonna be a delay. So having these values directly on the screens, that's what we were thinking initially, but in the end, it's probably not a good idea because people will get motion sickness. So it will probably be like in the tools window. There's two parts in Mantis. One is directly the overlay, so it's on the top of your emulator, so you feel like it's in the emulator. And there's another tool on the side, which is different, like especially different on Mac and on PC, because like the systems are different, so the windows look different. And so on PC, for example, you can dock and undock Windows, which you can't do on Macintosh because that's Macintosh. And so yeah, the idea would probably be to have an external window where you will have all the information. So it's not as nice as if Stokely was doing it, where they could have this information directly in the game. We have some kind of lag, so there's some stuff like that we can't do, unfortunately.
Interesting. So it's got to do with how much movement is on the war screen layout. That's
it's the moving parts, basically. So here, the helicarrier, you can move it like in 2 dimensions. That's the problem.
Gotcha.
Okay.
There's also like a lot of noise going over that screen, like when you bust open a room or something. Like for the rest of the war, you have like the particle smoke effects kind of like leaking out around it. Because we are reading off the screen, like there isn't really anything we can do around that. Like that'll give us a lot of false positives. So
man, so that those pesky well, they look cool, but then it messes with what you're trying to do. I see. Well, yeah, I mean, there's always limits to what you're trying to do because what you have to work with.
Technically, it's really well in like MSF is developed in Unity 3D, which is a game engine, and everything is 3D. Even if it looks 2D, like the UI, like even the buttons or everything is 3D. But in this case, it's harder. There's perspective, like just a little. Anyway, it makes things a bit harder to analyze. Is the way that we do it, like Seg just explained.
Yeah. Okay. Any other? That was just an idea I had, but any other things that maybe you, other than everything, specifically you want to share?
One thing I know, I'm really excited to get started on, and I know Zarathos is too, is we're both from different alliances, different clusters, but we're both very raid oriented. So I think raid is like one of the things we've discussed for a long while now that we want to start tracking and like crunching numbers for. That I think would personally both help, or help both him and I. So that makes it even more exciting to be able to get it out to like everyone. Very similar to like how the war feature is so popular. It's because like it's so insanely helpful. So raids are going to be kind of like that. Plus, it's both of our favorite parts of the game. So.
And are you just going to be reading the damage done, or are you going to like click on nodes and capture
when we get there?
Okay.
Yeah, that's a request I've had from one of my captain, Nikros. And right now he's doing it by hand, so I really want to help him on that. Is finding how many nodes everyone does. So analyzing also, okay, basically you would click on every node in your map, and you will show, okay, on node E7, this player made that much damage, this player made that much damage, and gather all this information and give them to the player. So that's one thing. And as Seth said, like raid is very important for the both of us. So definitely there would be a focus on it. I'm trying as much as possible to to let the patrons vote on the next features, just to give them a little advantage that is not a feature but more a part of the decision. And so that's why I started with war, then we started with war, then inventory. That's just what they wanted the most. Red definitely is in the list. There's also like donations, raid keys. And I
Yes.
want this one, especially because that's me who's doing it for my audience. And I mean, on point, I want to sell myself. Yeah, war the same. What else?
So, so
I,
yeah, no, that
oh,
Blitz.
there's one thing that one cool thing that I can tell you about is something because basically pretty much everything that we've told an API could do it for us. So the day that eventually Scopely decides to give us an API, like all that kind of stuff will be flushed away. Basically, it won't be necessary because we would get the information directly, and it will be more reliable. Of course, I mean, if you ask directly the game uh, the data that it can give you, it's much better than having to go to each page of the game and gather read the information. Definitely, but there's something that an API won't be able to do is analyzing the information. For example, if you take Blitz, we could say, okay, based on the previous fights that you've made, if you try that fight, you've got maybe a 50% chance to win, or here you have 80% chance to win. And that machine learning system can help. And if you think big, it could even be shared with the community. So somewhere a server would be able to gather all the information, and like the system would be able to say, okay, this fight, I think you will win it. And the more you will do fights, and the more the committee will do fights, the the more accurate the results will be. But that's long-term thinking.
Yep. Yeah, and
Same for war.
yeah, and thinking about like a Hearthstone. Um, Again, they came out with a mode called Battlegrounds, and I have seen overlays that do. It's random. Once you lay out the board, the attacks are random, but it does calculate almost in real time what's the percentage of your chance of winning based on, you know, probably history over time that it's accumulated. And the same thing with the meta and decks and what counters what. So what you're talking about is definitely it's the calculation I do in my head when I'm doing Blitz because I've done it so many times. But it would be very helpful for some that are not as familiar, or for even for new matchups. So that's pretty cool too. But the amount of data that you'll need for that would definitely have to come from probably an API or something like that that can capture it more reliably. So that's cool. What else creative? Do you have anything else we wanted to ask?
Well, I just wanted to. You mentioned at some point we may get an API. Is there any rumor, an innuendo that you can share with us? And then, the term API is grossly overused in a lot of ways, particularly where I work. But you're assuming you're going to get the full data set of information when you say those things. I don't necessarily probably see them going that broad. Certainly not in the beginning. I think they're just going to stick to very basic profile type of information. But expanding to war and raids. I mean, yes, they have to retain it for that period of the raid, but I don't think they retain any of that. I think they just throw it away after they have taken it and then given out the rewards. You think they're actually storing historical raid data?
One thing I've learned about Scopely is every single action we make in game is meticulously logged. Whether or not the developer sees it is one thing, but I know like from every like piece of gold and like every core we spend, every piece of or like every unit of energy, like all of that is meticulously tracked. Based on how they restore things from support, like down to exact timestamps. And like they can, yeah, it's. I mean, there's going to be a lot of information there. Hopefully.
Okay.
I don't know how much detail they have, and maybe there's probably a like a period of time that they keep all the data. But for example, at one point, my alliance, we were kept at 99%, even if we cleared every node. So when you contact the support, they have to be able to check that what you're telling is the truth. So they must have. We can't know because that's totally on their side, obviously.
Fair.
But
Yeah.
I assume that they must keep the data at least for a certain period of time. Maybe it's like a week, a month, a year, I don't know. But I would assume that they keep the data. And even if they don't, if one day, and nobody knows beside them, well, maybe they don't even know. But if one day they decide to give an API and that API gives that kind of information, because I think it's more than rumors about API. I know that Cerebro has been talking about it like
He's
once in a
mentioned it,
while.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Many times he's mentioned that they're
Yeah.
working on
So
it, they want to do it, but yeah.
yeah, so it will come at one point when I don't know. Hopefully soon, because that would be obviously fun for developers like us. Um, but as you say, we don't know what will be in there, and there will probably be iterations like the first one will probably be very secure, and then, just as you said, they will secure something, and maybe they will give a bit more if it works well, and if eventually we get all the information we want, like the roster, the war information, the raid information, that would be nice. And another thing that I didn't talk about, that one thing I would like to do is also give the opportunity to extract like the timeline of a war. So you check every room and you say, okay, the first attack that was made was at this timestamp. This team attacked that team, they won, etc. All the pretty much the timeline of the war, so you can after that analyze the war, see which of your players made bad moves, maybe. So how you can avoid to repeat the same mistakes again and again. That again, there's pretty much no limit to what can be done.
So I sorry to keep going to the same well, but what you're talking about on a Hearthstone match, that's what it would do. It would show you every move that you did, and you could replay it. It could actually create a web interface. You could see and show it to somebody, and then somebody that's very good at the game could say, "You see, when you attack with this guy there, or when you did this, that's where you messed up," and that explain to you the series of events that happened after that led you to lose. So that kind of stuff, I can see it being super important for people that are into war. You can say, hey, we got stuck in the armory for too long, and while that was going on, look at all they did. If we had stopped them, maybe that would have saved us from losing. That kind of analysis would be really valuable. Now, Seg, do you think, because I would imagine you spend, is it a majority of the time on just trying to get the information out of the tool versus this other overlay and fun stuff? If they gave you the API, how would that look if you could dedicate yourself just to like user features, like the good stuff? Like, what do you think would happen?
Well, some things would be really easy. I think a lot of our backend, depending on how much was released, could it could really change. It would make our application significantly lighter. Not that it's super heavy as is, but to not have to process the images and just to be able to pull a roster down directly and maybe only have to scan to see what page you were on, that would it would make it would make Mantis very light and even more accurate than it is, which I know is Mantis is already pretty well known for its accuracy. So I think like that would be super exciting. Plus, it would, it would probably make a lot more things very accessible. Like the open rooms in war, like, you know, assuming that the API let us like hit an endpoint that let us take in some info from that, like we wouldn't have to worry about, the noise of like different particle effects rolling over the screen. So, um, things like that could like really change the landscape of what we're able to do. It would give us a lot of power.
Yep.
Yeah, and because we would have this information directly, we could focus on other stuff that the API can't give us. So, it's like it would be a huge win for us, definitely.
Well,
Awesome.
we're hoping that Cerebro keeps pushing the company, as he says, to get us this, because I'm really excited to see what you guys can do with it. So that's really
But to be fair, I understand why it takes. I read the committee was like, okay, we've been talking about it for ages, and it's still not coming. But the API, it you open the door basically, and you don't want to open the door fully and let anyone come in and come and go out. You want to make it as safe as possible, because if they're rushing things and just with an API like that, without making the necessary precaution. I know that there's absolutely no version of the game that has been out with a single issue. It never happened, but it can happen. So yeah, basically you don't want a bug to happen with an API,
yeah.
because that would be catastrophic.
Yeah, yeah, and I know when Creative and I were talking about it, that actually was one of the first things he brought up. He was like, "You gotta be very safe with this because you could really expose yourself to problems with one of these." So that sounds about right. The question on the chat here: any plans to add in ISO 8 and training mats to the inventory system? ISO 8, I guess he's talking about the what do you call it, crystals and the training materials.
Yes.
It's on
Yes.
the list. Okay. Okay. Yeah. That's
Everything is on the list.
That's right. The list.
No, definitely. Power cores, gold, that kind of stuff. I think it's maybe not top on our priority. And obviously, once Seg doesn't have to deal with the Mac version, would probably go much faster, and maybe eventually some other people will join, even if it will cause some more issues, because the bigger the team, the harder it is to maintain things. But yeah, I guess that when Seg will be able to work on the PC version as well, we'll do twice as much work, more or less.
Yeah, it'll be really nice to be able to work in parallel, and then that'll in turn allow me to do is bring the new features to Mac even faster, because we'll be able to write them with write the new features on Windows with the Mac version in mind as well. So that way we'll be able to like very cohesively add features to both versions. So
yeah, that's an important point, because so Seg knows quite enough on the Windows version, because he had to do the porting. So you have to understand what's done in the base. But I don't know anything about the Mac version, and I don't want to know anything.
I don't know anything about it either. That's part of the issue.
You guys are hurting Fred's feelings. He's a Mac. He loves his
Oh my
Macs.
God, I'm hurting over here. It's okay. I can.
I mean, that wasn't a shot. I don't know what I'm doing. This is,
I'm kidding.
yeah.
So maybe for the super technical out there, if you don't mind sharing, what is Mantis written on? Like, do you use, is it Java? Is it a hodgepodge? Is there Python in there? Like, what kind of stuff is in there? So Zara make a face.
It's all JavaScript, man. It is no.
No, it's binary. We just. I mean, I have a keyboard with just two.
Zeros and ones.
Punch cards you're running through?
So this is actually the only two things on my keyboard. I have a 0 key and a 1 key, nothing else. So I just
And we type randomly.
Yeah. We just
We
hit
type
buttons
randomly.
so it works. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. No, it's C#, and on the PC version, it's I'm using the WPF framework. So in .NET,
Okay.
.NET Core to make things a bit easier for Seg. I don't know if it really helps actually. The fact that it's .NET Core, maybe not.
Well, I'm using the Mono framework, which allows us to use C#. I mean, I'm a C# dev by day. Like that's my professional career job. So I was more than happy to say, yeah, let's use C#. But I have to use the Xamarin framework, which is meant for actually making iOS and Android apps like cross-compatible, and then on top of that they slap a framework called Coca on top of it, which is like it's a Objective C and Swift Mac API or framework. So it's kind of just layers on top of layers for the Mac version. To be honest with you, it's been a challenge working with it, but it's really fun because I like the solutions I get to come up with are like just insanely wacky and humorous, but like also really cool.
Wow.
And then due to that sandboxing, I also have like C++ and Python thrown in there. It's Mac is a bit crazy. Yeah,
There's all kinds of good stuff in there, right? Because
it is a cake from code. Yeah,
there is no .NET, right? That's a Microsoft like Windows thing.
well, Mono and .NET are actually now fusing.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm technically the Mantis Mac version is technically on .NET 4.8.
Okay. All right.
So it's still pretty, it's definitely not, the .NET 5 that Zara's running, but I mean it's enough to get things done.
Wow. So I mean, just hearing all this, it's amazing that just the two of you have been able to bring this to the community. I mean, there's companies that don't even are not even able to bring their products across the platform. So unbelievable work there.
It's really all thanks to Zarathos, and like he's a brilliant both planner and programmer. Like the stuff that he did was like brilliant, and they like going through and like looking at the math and stuff. Like the first time that he was doing in the algorithms, I was like floored. I was like, this is so cool. Like genuinely, not just brown nosing. Like that was my first impression, and I told him that.
Yeah.
Like it's really all thanks to him.
No, I mean when you explain how it's a screenshot and you're comparing pixels and all that stuff, like Creative and I were trying to figure out, are there objects on the screen that they have access to? And I said they cannot be, because they would need access to the source code, and they probably can't. And maybe there's a game log behind that they're looking at, but it's all screenshots, which is, I was like, then how do you do it? Like, and then that's pretty cool.
I think that Copley would probably give a huge red flag officially if we were doing anything like that.
Right.
Like we have access to the data. Data mining is that, but they don't hide it. It's super easy to have access to the game's data, so that's not a problem. But if you were to to decompile their code, to to try to intercept messages. First, I don't know how to do it, and I don't really want. I mean, that's not the kind of thing that Seg will speak for himself. But as far as I'm concerned, that's not the thing that I'm interested in. You know, hacking the stuff. That's no.
Yeah. No, it sounds like you just, like you said, the same things you would do by interacting with the screen, but in a computer is assisting you to get what you need. So that's good. Creative. Was there anything else out there? I mean, appreciate you.
Those were certainly the big things for sure. I know we wanted to give you an opportunity. You mentioned Patreon, you mentioned Discord. Obviously, in our show notes and in our own Discords, we'll put links in there. But anything you want to cover there, give a URL or anything there you want to cover for the listeners?
I think my Patreon is my Patreon's name must be Zarathos, so https patreon.com/Zaratools. But yeah, it's directly on the available when you install Mantis anyway. I don't know if Seg, you've done the same.
Yeah, I went ahead and just put the links to both the Zarathos Discord and both of our Patreons in the Twitch chat. Of course, you know, Fred will have those for his stream notes, so you'll be able to have access to those and join our community, no problem.
Awesome.
Well, you know,
and join the community because it's very interesting to have interactions with all those people. Well, the more and more I think we can't reply to everyone because I mean I think especially since we've started Mantis, the MSF.gg's community is coming over. I know that Taiji has been helping us on this. So we have more and more people, so we can't reply to everyone, but there's always a lot of people that knows quite well how every tool is working, so they can always answer. And I mean, we're super open to have feedbacks, to have suggestions. We can't do everything right away because we also have a real job that's paying us for real, but we spend quite a lot of time on these tools, and so yeah, we try to make things happen pretty fast, and I think it's quite a success so far.
Yeah, and I think we want to reiterate, we love the tools. We use them. We shouldn't admit how often we use them during the day in case someone listens to this that knows us. But we love the tools. We've been following the tools for such a long time. I think speaking on behalf of the community, this is a big, big thank you to you guys. I know you put a lot of time and effort, and hopefully you're hearing all the people sing your praises. I saw there was a post today just talking about the inventory and a lot of people jumping on and commenting on that. So certainly, if nothing else, if just Fred and I here, we love it, and we hope the rest of the community gets the opportunity to use it and see the power of these tools and help them play.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to where do you take them? I mean, this is like just the beginning. I know, based on what you've just said, Zara, that you seem to have all these ideas and you need to get them out in the world. I guess that's what it's a type of creativity that you have, and you have to get it out. It happens to be via an application and programming, but it's really about what it enables people to do. So I can't wait, and hopefully, you know, Seg and continue to work together and just continue to unlock the power of all this information that you have access to now. So very, very cool stuff.
I hope so.
Any parting thoughts from you guys? Anything else you guys wanted to say? Maybe something we didn't ask about, or...
Oh, I would just like to say thank you so much to all of our supporters and everyone in the Zarathos community. Like, you guys are absolutely great. Like, you know, everyone is really fun and nice to hang around with. You know, they're always really helpful with giving us feedback of what we can do better, or like when something goes wrong. And I'd also like to say thank you to like all the, you know, all the big name streamers like Casino and Mobile Gamer who've been featuring Mantis recently. That's been it's really cool to you know, just be browsing like a YouTube video and like be like, wait, I made that. Oh my god, I made that. Like, it's just really cool to see that. So,
Awesome.
huge thank you to them for the endorsement.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I will add also a Dutch rudder, which has been like on on Zarathos since the very beginning, and I think he was the first one to stream something about Mantis. So we've been discussing a lot together as well.
We like that.
It's nice. We have a great community again. As Seg said, we love them.
Awesome.
And thank you also.
Yes.
Thank you guys for having us. I mean, it was a real pleasure. I don't know about you, Seg, but for me it was a
Oh,
first.
absolutely. I've been so excited to do this. I'm just so honored, man.
Well, we'll definitely have to have you come back and talk about some of these awesome features that could be coming our way.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you just let us know if you want to reach some kind of audience through our means. You know, the door is always open. You know how to find us, and we'll be glad to have you because we love these things. I mean, I use it all the time, as Creative was saying, and you know, the game can be what it is sometimes, but things like this, and where you can get into the data the way I like, really keep me going. And there's some stuff we are working on ourselves, some sheets that we've created, like offshoots. So I always tell Seg that I want to share my ideas, but I know that the list is never ending. So we do little spreadsheets of our own, and what you guys do enable us to do that. It's kind of the same way. A lot of the time that I had to spend typing up inventory numbers, now I've taken it to the next level and actually, okay, now I have all this data. I can do some more deep analysis and forecasting about DD4 and all that stuff. So really geeking out here about it, but you know, you can always come here and talk to us about what you're working on.
Awesome.
It's a pleasure.
Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next time then.
All right, guys. We'll talk next time.